Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here. Today we're going to be chatting as usual, having a good time. I'm joined by my good friend Bobby here, who is chillaxing with a big bottle of smart water.
Yep.
And hashtag not sponsored. Uh,
It'd be
how you
nice to
doing,
be
Bobby?
sponsored by Smart Water, right?
Yeah,
That's a good brand to be sponsored by.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm doing good. I'm feeling better. Just
Yeah,
it's been raining here, cats and dogs here in South Florida, but
yeah,
uh, been outside, did some chores, and came back.
yeah. Sounds good. Have you had a good weekend so far?
Yeah. I mean, I was working a straight night till today morning, and then took
Oh,
some rest, and then did the chores, and then.
yeah. So
But
it's more
tomorrow's free, so
okay.
it's
That's
a
good.
good Saturday night to talk watches.
Yeah, for sure. What's on your wrist? I already know, but
So you do?
I,
Okay.
Doxa, right?
No. So I was
Oh,
actually thinking of getting bringing the Speedmaster in,
yeah.
just to entice you back into the Speedmaster world. But even something even better to entice you with is the Grand
Oh,
Seiko SPGA 413, the spring,
the
the
Shunbun.
the Shunbun, slightly pink, I guess, silvery pink,
Yeah,
on titanium. So it's a great watch to wear, especially when you're not knowing what you're doing. I've been wearing this watch straight on for like last 36 hours, and
yeah,
it doesn't feel anything because it's titanium.
yeah. Great choice. I personally like the 415,
Yes. Yeah.
um, which is what Keith likes as well. But
I think Keith should buy it.
yeah,
We're
Keith,
slowly just try
Keith
to.
should buy it. He can handle it. He's
Yes.
got the he's got the go ahead from his wife. So
Yes. Everything's green light.
yeah, it's just he is still agonizing.
What are you
um,
wearing?
I am wearing still my honeymoon. So white birch on my
Nice.
wrist.
So,
Yeah,
so this is a Grand Seiko podcast
yeah.
stream. I love it. I love the case. How do you like the case back? Do
I
you like the
really
case
like
back
it.
better or the dial better?
Oh, that's tough. That's really tough.
That's a good
I
thing to have, right? It's a really when you have a good watch, like a really good watch, is when both the key dial and the case back. And I
yeah
think both of that is sensational.
yeah
Can I see the dial again just one more time
yeah
because I
absolutely.
I just remember briefly seeing it and it looks so much better on the camera too. Um, oh, it's so
Full screen.
yeah, it looks so nice. Is the second
Yeah.
hand blue?
Yep.
Nice. Okay,
See if I can
looks
get
so nice.
the light there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It is really nice. It's way better. Like every picture does not do it justice. You
Yeah.
can kind
Yeah.
of get an idea here. It looks like it glows. It just bounces light back.
It's yeah. It's very nice. It's very classic looking.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Let's just say hi to everyone in the chat real quick. We've got Jason here, clandestine luxury, sporting his Tudor Fast Rider. Very cool. Bruce, hey, good to see you, Bruce. And Chaz is here. Good to see you, Chaz. Corey, how's it going? Nefarian, hey man, how's it going? Bill K is here as well. And Wilson. Justin is here. Watch Cardinal. Shout out to AP. Um, hey, thanks so much, Watch Cardinal. It's very kind of you. And thanks, AP. Let's see. Kevin is here, and Caliber YQG. Eric Strickland's here as well. Hello, hello, hello. Ken Spear is here. The other Bobby Legs. um, how's it going, sir? Good to see you. Really good to see you. Not really see you, but you know,
Your presence.
I sense
It's
your
appreciated.
presence. There's a disturbance. Hey, look, there, I made a reference.
There we go. Yes, a movie reference.
Good to see you, as 9. Um, let's see who else. Watch Talk is here. How's it going, man? Kevin Hawthorne is here. Good to see you from Lakeland. Uh, 9SA5 is great, says Eric. Absolutely. It is stunning. Undertune Watch Collector is here as well. Yeah, Star Wars reference from me. Sorry if I missed anyone. Let us know what you are wearing, and we will get to that very soon. Um, yeah, Watch Talk saying the white birch is sweet. I don't think I missed anyone. Um, Kevin is saying these are not the movie references you're looking for. Um, not sure was not sure which episode that one was from. Was that from the bad Star Wars movie? These are not the droids you're looking for.
Oh,
No, that was from the good one, wasn't it?
I'm not sure actually. I think it's from the original trilogy. Or
Yeah.
is it just from, yeah?
Okay. Yeah, probably Obi-Wan or some guy, right?
Yes, some OG.
Anyway,
Yeah.
some guy, not Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm way out of my element here. Yeah, so today I was gonna chat with you guys about um, watch guilty pleasures. So I don't know if you had too much time to think about this, Bobby, but what I was basically thinking of was things that generally the watch community don't like about a watch, or what a normal person, a normal watch enthusiast, I should say, would not like about something that we tend to like. Is basically my thought. At first, I thought maybe this would be a hard topic, kind of kind of out there, but the more I thought about it, the more stuff I kept writing down, stuff that people generally don't like, but I tend to like, and I'm sure others tend to as well. So the example I gave in one of the watch soups was a Radley bracelet. So we'll start off with that, right? I I tend to like the Radley bracelet. Not when it's Radley because the tolerances are really garbage, but generally when a bracelet is somewhat Radley, it means it's going to be really comfortable to wear. So prime example would be a beads of rice bracelet. A beads of rice bracelet is going to rattle around because the metal links are going to hit each other, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful feeling bracelet. Another one would be the infamous jingly jangly jubilee. I'm sure we all get that reference. um, it's there's a reason it's so comfortable is because it's all jangly. It's almost a little crass, like something that makes a lot of noise on your wrist. um but it's a sign that it's super comfortable. Or a stretched out oyster bracelet, maybe. A stretched out president bracelet. I've never had the opportunity or the pleasure to wear an actual president bracelet, but I can only imagine how great that bracelet is. So this is one aspect of watches that people tend to not like in on the watch community right now. They want solid links. They have to be super tightly put together. They feel, on the wrist, they tend to feel super clammy, like they clamp down on your wrist, and it's a big, massive weight. And there's a place for that, and I think they can be comfortable in their own right, but nothing beats a nice old Radley bracelet. What do you think? What do you think, Bobby?
So my question to you would be: do you like the sound of the jingly jangly bracelet, or like rattly bracelet,
I
or do
don't
you
like the
just
sound.
okay? So you don't like the sound, but you like the you like it because that implies that it's a comfortable bracelet, so you
Yeah.
can tolerate the auditory jingly
Yes.
stimulus. Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I own a Doxa, so I understand the beads of rice concept. I don't feel it as jingly, so I do understand. I don't like the well fitting bracelet, like the super tight bracelet, because it does. First of all, when you, especially here in South Florida, when you go out, your wrist is going to expand, and it's going to, if it doesn't have a micro adjust, it's going to produce impression on your wrist after wearing it for like 12 hours straight. So I like it kind of loose, and I completely agree with you in that aspect. A little looser, if it makes a jingly sound, so be it. But
Yeah.
it's better to have a comfortable comfort. Trumps everything else.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think like there's certain loose bracelets that are not well fitting either. like a really bad construction. Like so certain Seiko bracelets, I would say have
Yeah.
that issue. But I think if it's a well fitted, comfortable, like it's like wearing a comfortable shoe. You know, it might be a little loose, but you know, once you wear it, you're like, oh, this is these are my shoes.
Yeah.
Like you know, but you have to. I don't think it's a new. It's not going to be a new bracelet, right? It's going to be a worn bracelet. It's going to be there for a couple. You've worn it for a couple of months. You know how it feels. You know each time it clicks, and it's the one that you probably take out for you know daily chores or activities. It's not the one that you probably take out to like an event or dinner or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there are some new bracelets that quite a few manufacturers make. There's Forstner, JB Forstner, and Uncle Seiko. So it kind of comes in that comfortable, worn kind of feeling because it has a stamped clasp. That's another
Mhm.
thing I was kind of going to talk about, which we can probably add in here because it's all part of the bracelet.
Sure.
But a stamped clasp, I think there's a time and a place for that. Like with a really nice, a Gay Freres bracelet style, like the beads of rice bracelet, like the that came with the Pateks in the past. Um, those those bracelets, you kind of have to have a stamped clasp. You can't put a milled clasp with a machine swing arm. I mean, I'm sure you could. It would just one really increase the cost of the watch because you'd have to make it out of something that doesn't, bend like tinfoil,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, or just crack and fatigue, like break, just from being too thin. So I think a stamped clasp is really charming in that way as well. You kind of have to have it from the past though, like one of those really thin bracelets. But yeah, there are options where you can get a brand new bracelet, but it feels pre-owned. That makes it sound bad, but it just feels comfortable, like a good pair of shoes, like you mentioned. Um,
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're having it. A stamp bracelet, like a stamp clasp, shouldn't. I have nothing against that. Like I know certain people do, and I agree. I think more people would probably say the jingly jangly part.
yeah,
Um, but I think I wouldn't say like for me personally. I think um, it's the I really don't have anything against bracelets except like the Milgauss I had the center polishing.
right.
That's the only thing that I feel like if I'm wearing a tool watch, it should be. I completely agree. If you're having a two tone watch or something, that should be polished. Like the center should be polished. But
Yeah.
other than that, if it's a tool watch, you should have it fully brushed. That's the only faux pas I have against bracelets.
Yeah. And one thing you mentioned was there are bracelets that are, rattly and jangly, but they're not comfortable and they don't feel good. I think those ones would be maybe the ones that come with, yeah, like you mentioned, certain Seikos, like the Samurai,
If I remember
or
correctly, didn't the Alpinist come with the bracelet? Um, the original one, if I remember correctly.
um, I am
Uh,
not sure. I know the original one came in the bund strap, right? But the
Yeah,
ones
not the original. I'm
after,
saying the after one.
yeah,
Not before all these limited editions came out. Uh,
yeah,
the green one, I feel like that came in, and the bracelet was so uncomfortable,
yeah,
and it
there,
was jingly.
yeah,
But I don't know if I bought it with it was an aftermarket one, but I'm pretty sure it was the original, but I could be wrong.
yeah.
I'm not
Well,
a
if you're
Seiko.
talking about the Sarb, like the Sarb 17, I think it comes in a cardboard brown leather strap.
Okay,
But there are quite a few aftermarket options for that. So,
sure.
especially strap code and so
I
on.
probably got a bad aftermarket bracelet then,
Yeah. Uh,
which was jingly jangly and had a bad fit
yeah.
too. Uh,
But the ones that come in some of those Seikos, like the Samurai or the Turtle, I think they have like those full oyster links, right? Where it makes it look like it's three separate intermediate links, but it's actually one link with slits on the top to make it look like three links.
mhm.
I think those ones really fall apart when it comes to comfort because that's clamming down on your wrist and it's not articulating as much. And you have this huge honking clasp that's all pressed. so you have this mass of clasp that's pressed, and it just, when it comes to that, it becomes really, um I mean, for the money, it's okay, but it's definitely not something that will make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Whereas, one of those beads of rice bracelets, just so
Yeah.
nice.
Yes. I think, and I don't know, like of all the bracelets I've worn, I think the beads of rice is the most comfortable.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
it's really when you have a good beads of rice bracelet, it's hard to hard to top that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, absolutely, for sure. I just want to say hi to Marcus in the chat. Good to see you wearing his Railmaster 57. I recognize that piece. Um, Eric is wearing his 1954
oh,
Universal
nice.
Geneve pole router. Oh, polar router, pre-pole router. Ooh, wow, cool. um, Get lost at New Hope.
Oh, Star Wars reference.
uh, let's see. Um, Wilson with some controversy there, saying all Star Wars movies are bad,
Oh, wow.
except Rogue One.
Rogue One
Uh,
was a good movie, but
was it?
there's other really good Star Wars movies out there too.
Yeah.
Wilson's wrong, I have to say.
Was Rogue One the new
That the it
reboot?
was like a couple of years ago, 3 years, 3 or 4 years ago. It's the pre New Hope, like a preview, like not preview. It's like how Leia got the plans to destroy the. So New Hope. I don't know if you've seen Star Wars. No.
I have.
Okay, so it's how they got the plans to Princess Leia,
Okay, to
basically.
blow up the Death
Let's
Star.
start. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Um, yeah, I was just starting to glaze over a little.
Yes. Wilson just wrote Star Wars equals mediocre. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Uh,
Trying to start a war here.
yeah.
Pale Horse, good to see you, sir. George, I don't think I said hi. Hey, George. Um, Kevin saying he did like the OEM Jubilee on the SKX.
Yes.
That was a really nice bracelet. Um, I think there are some dial colors watch enthusiasts like that general public don't. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm definitely into color, so I can understand that statement completely. Um, some colors, like a lot of people go safe colors, right? Blue,
yeah,
white, black, um, but tend not to go beyond those three.
yeah, yeah. Justin, good to see you. Dan is here as well, and Leia. Good to see you, Leia. Good to see you, Dan. Leia is wearing his Fierce Brunswick salmon.
Salmon,
Beautiful,
nice, nice.
beautiful.
Seen
Ken
pictures of it.
Spear,
It's beautiful.
yeah. Still honeymooning with the PRX Powermatic 80. Good choice. Watch Talk is wearing the Hoyer Monaco Caliber 11. Nice.
Nice, nice.
Um, have you heard of The Empire Strikes Back? That's the one with the robotic camels, right? And they did the
Well,
like,
that's the one with the Empire Strikes Back, episode 5. Well, it's the second part of the original trilogy. I guess they renamed it to episode 5, but that's
okay,
where that is probably the best of the Star Wars movies. If you
yeah. That's the one where they put like a cable and they tied those
yeah, yep,
robotic things up and
yep, yeah, yeah.
okay, yeah.
The camels, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I understand what you're talking about. Okay, I forgot what those are called, but yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Gotcha. I gotcha. Um, let's see. Steve's here. Good to see you, Steve. Mr. Cassioke. Um, Star Wars is like the Seiko movies, not high art, but part of the fabric of popular culture.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've watched a lot of movies, and Star Wars is nice, but I wouldn't say it's again. I hopefully don't get bad comments here, but it's good, but it's not like The Godfather definitely is probably better filmmaking
Yeah.
and movie watching than.
I was told not to watch that. I still haven't watched The
Oh,
Godfather,
oh,
but my boss told me not to watch it.
oh.
It would be it would horrify me. But
I mean, there is it's pre like historic Italian mafia
Yeah.
uh, this thing, but there's violence, but it's
Yeah.
like more. It shows the family side of it too.
Yeah. Hmm. Corey's saying in my year and a half in the watch hobby, I've never worn a watch on a bracelet.
That's nice. I mean,
Yeah.
that's refreshing. I mean, to
I
never.
actually started that way too. I did not like bracelets. So when I started, I'd go to the store and say, "Hey, can I take a look at this watch, but I don't want to see the bracelet." And they just look at me sideways. Like, seriously? Everyone else wants a bracelet.
I started with the watch, like my really into watch collecting was the Omega Seamaster 300, and
Yeah.
I can link it. I can go into the next topic, next point here about things that I do. I really like the Seamaster bezel,
Yeah?
the 300.
The scallop
Yeah,
bezel?
the scalp bezel, because I'm
Okay.
not going diving with it. So unless I'm wearing, my life depended on it, yes, that probably would not. But I like the visual appeal of the scalp bezel
Yeah.
of the Seamaster 300, which probably irks a lot of people. But it looks nice, and it's so different than all the other dive watches out there, right? Like the
Yeah.
Blancpain, the Rolex Submariner, all this has the perfectly round bezel. It gives a different twist to it, and I loved it. Of course, this is more. This feels like a movies and watches thing. The original James Bond, not original James Bond, the 1990s James Bond, Pierce Brosnan, when he wore it, that was like so cool. That was like the ultimate. I mean, Pierce Brosnan was in GoldenEye. I mean, he looked so cool. The whole movie was cool. I
Yeah.
don't know if you ever played a video game with the golden gun. Um,
On the N64?
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like all that was like pop culture in the 90s, like peak pop, and that watch was always on newspapers and magazines,
Yeah.
and I love the visual appeal of that, and that's why it was my first luxury watch.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I totally
I'm
get
a
that. I really like the scallop bezel look as well. I think one thing I've criticized in the past with my medium-sized Seamaster and the Necton was the feeling of the bezel when you turn it. Not
yes.
the grip. The feeling is a little, leaves a little to be
It's not
desired.
as satisfying as like turning a Doxa or any
Mhm.
other dive watch. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
But again, when I'm wearing a watch 95% of the time, I don't use a bezel.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But I completely agree with you. If I had to pick on it, of course, if I'm using the utility of the bezel, definitely is subpar compared to other when you compare it to its peers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the visual appeal of the scalp bezel, kind of with the waves on the dial, it's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, I totally get it. I agree. Yeah, it's beautiful. Um, couple more comments. Toran's here. Good to see you, Toran. And a couple of people commenting about the camel statement. Um, Western about driving robot camels down the
Uh,
Appalachian Trail.
that's actually not a bad movie to watch. I would
Yeah,
watch that. Right?
and I'm guessing they weren't robots because Dan Dan just asked if I called an AT-AT a robot. I'm guessing that's what that thing is called. So it's not a robot. It's manned or
It's
or
manned.
yeah,
Yeah.
housed by some species, I guess. Nilo's wearing. Hey Nilo, good to see you. Wearing the Zinyu one. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Uh, Ken Corey saying GoldenEye 64 was the
Yeah.
best.
It's
Um,
probably one of the best video games of the 90s.
yeah. Uh, yeah. Okay. So, moving on for my next pick of watch guilty pleasure is imperfections on a dial,
Oh,
specifically a handmade dial.
okay.
So, I was a huge fan of the enamel dials that Seiko makes, and I think that's probably the extent of handmade that I've got to. I had the porcelain dial as well. I think that's considered handmade. Um, but on my enamel dialed watch, while I still had it, there was a big old fingerprint in the enamel. So so
You know how like watchmakers like engrave their this thing on the watch in the watch movement? Was
yeah.
that his like watch? Like this is me who did
Yeah. He probably thought it would maybe fail in the oven process, but
Oh
uh,
wow!
it
So you
was
can see the
it was pretty
whirls.
cool.
You can see the whirls.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
A very small section of it, you kinda had to be really looking close. And it was white, so you don't it'll only catch once it catches the light, 'cause there's, like, texture on the dial because of the fingerprint. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, I have this master craftsman's fingerprint on my dial, um,
Uh,
which is crazy.
yeah.
Um,
You know, that's actually not bad if you wanted like, you know, like a Omega Speedmaster, like Buzz Aldrin's fingerprint on the dial. That'll be pretty pretty
y
rad. But
yeah.
yeah, I would have to disagree with you there.
Yeah. Uh,
Can you
and
see with naked eye or was it a
naked
like
eye, yep,
okay?
yep.
And where was it
Um,
like located exactly? Like
it I can't quite remember
sure.
now,
Okay.
but, I think it
If
was
it was on the
around the
corner of the dial, I'm okay with it. Like if
it
it's in
was
the
the corner.
okay.
So,
That's okay, I guess.
yeah, around the 1 and 2 o'clock, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I may be wrong. It wasn't the Shippo enamel, Steve. It was the white enamel dial. So I had the white enamel and the Shippo enamel. The Shippo, you probably wouldn't be able to distinguish a fingerprint if there was one, because it had that guilloche under the enamel. But the white enamel one you can totally tell because it's just milky, pure milky white. It's really nice. Um, but yeah, it was cool to be able to see it. I have this master
I haven't
craftsman.
watched much of the Big Bang Theory, but I don't know if you've watched the Big Bang Theory TV show. No.
A long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. Like
I
this is
watched
like
a couple of
long, like first
episodes.
couple of seasons, but
Yeah.
Sheldon gets a gift from Penny,
Okay.
like a tissue paper, and she's like a napkin, and he's like, "Why are you giving me a napkin?" He said, "Oh," and then it says, "Live long and prosper, Leonard Nimoy," and he's so happy because Leonard Nimoy's DNA was on the napkin.
Oh,
So it feels like the same thing. Like you had the fingerprint of the watchmaker on the
yeah.
dial. Like you had, like, you know,
Yeah.
more personal touch.
I feel like I remember that. Was he trying to, like, clone him or something?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
or
like yeah. I think like, oh, I can clone him if I, you know, if I
yeah.
ever have to or something. Yeah,
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But anything else though, if it was, like, dust under the dial, it would drive me nuts.
Yep.
Any other thing would drive me
How
absolutely
about the
bonkers.
scratches on the like sapphire? Not the sapphire, but like any cracks or anything like that. Would that?
It would. So, like, AR coating, outside AR coating, and if a scratch happens on that,
No.
I would be gutted.
Okay.
Um, I think I'd put up with it. I think I'd get over it, but so I probably wouldn't try to polish it out. I wouldn't try to
Okay.
get rid of the AR coating, but it would bug me a bit.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I just feel like fingerprinting, if it's a handmade, this thing, it has to be like I can understand like if it was like small imperfections on
yeah,
the dial, that's perfectly okay, but not a fingerprint. I would not feel happy.
yeah.
Like
There were the other imperfections too, like little bumps where
yeah,
the enamel bubbled. Um,
that's perfect. I think that's more of craftsmanship, and you know, I think like I forgot how the Japanese call it. There's you know
Wabi sabi.
perfect, yeah, the perfectly imperfect,
Yeah, yeah,
um, striving for perfection. I completely I'm okay with that one style.
yeah,
Um, but I have never seen a fingerprint. Like this, you're the first one who's ever told me about a fingerprint on that. I've seen like of course I would definitely not appreciate any dust,
yeah.
um, or lint. I've seen that,
Right.
or sometimes like sometimes the specks of metal from the markers
Oh, yeah,
come out. Those are no nos, but
yeah,
the dial itself, the texture of the dial, if it's handmade, I'm okay with like bubbles or
yeah, yeah. I think I'm on board with you there.
yeah.
Um, I did like the fingerprint though.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't
uh,
like this giant thumbprint in the middle of the dial. It's
I
just
know,
like a
I know.
really subtle, yeah.
But it's good that it was white, right? White dial.
Yeah,
If it was
yeah,
blue or something, that would have been much more. You'd probably be like a
yeah. Peter,
not a.
good to see you. You're saying not much of a craftsman if you left your fingerprint. Yeah. Wilson, I think that's called a smudge. Uh, it's like Sanjay had a piece of the watchmaker's soul. That's funny. Let's see. Jonathan, good to see you. Fingerprint begs the question: who's working on your watch without gloves or finger covers?
That's a
Hmm.
good question, actually.
Yeah, I mean, in the press material for those Chapeau, not the Chapeau enamel, but just the enamel dials, you see like this one guy in like this tiny town wearing traditional Japanese garb, and he's handling it with his fingers. I think those little discs he's putting them in like this grate and then sticking it in a fire oven. So that probably isn't what actually goes on. Um, it's probably in like this lab. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, without with specific, no dust, no outsiders, no air. Um, so yeah, it's probably something like that. But um, if the craftsman there, I know they put the name of the craftsman on the watch too. Like there's a little hang tag. I forget the name. I know the place was, or if the chapeau enamel was like Ando Cloison or Cloisonne or something like that. Um, can't remember the name of the dial maker, but if it was actually that one guy, maybe he actually handles it, by hand.
I
Who
see.
knows? I'm not sure. It's supposed to be like this traditional Japanese enameling technique, but yeah. AP, good to see you. Secondhand, not hitting some of the markers on my Grand Seiko quartz
Mm.
drives me nuts. Yeah, I've heard. I think Clayton actually said this in the Watchdog podcast, that if the seconds hand hits every marker, there is more machine, like there's a higher chance of it being completely made by machine, and and kind of lined up by machine as well. And so it not hitting the markers on some of the markers is kind of could be kind of endearing, but a lot of people don't agree. um yeah, hitting, not missing the markers is really would
Especially for
really
a
bug
high
me.
accuracy quartz, right? Grand Seiko quartz.
Yeah,
Um, I'm
but
okay with the like just a regular quartz watch not missing. I mean, that's okay. But a Grand Seiko or a Breitling, that might
yeah,
be hard to swallow.
yeah, and that said though, I think there was one watch of the Grand Seiko 9F quartz that I had that had that issue. So I've
Mm,
had a few. Most of them just hit the marker dead on. Except on some ends, it's like slightly to the edge of the marker, But yeah, it's really hard to do to get it to hit every marker, every second marker. So um, Steve saying, I'm sure the dial artisans are dressed like Intel bunnymen in clean suits. Yeah, for sure. uh, so GS quartz are
oh,
replicants?
do you know that movie reference? No,
No, I don't.
replicants.
What's that?
Blade Runner? No,
Oh, okay.
Blade Runner. That's not a movie for you. It's kind of more like depressing sci-fi. If that
Yeah,
be the
I like dystopian movies. I'm guessing
okay.
it's
So
the
yeah, yeah,
dystopian.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a little long, but it's a Harrison Ford in his heyday.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they did another one with uh, my Ryan Gosling and
Okay.
Harrison Ford's in it too. Blade Runner 2049. Both of them they initially panned the initial Blade Runner, but now it's becoming one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah. And
If you like dystopian movies, then I didn't know that you like dystopian movies, but
I do. Yeah.
then that's one of the best then,
Yeah.
if not the best.
Yeah. I'm guessing this must be a movie reference as well. It has
Yeah,
to be.
yeah, replicants, and so you'll
Oh,
understand if you're watching the movie. Then replica, yeah, that's
okay. Cool. Yeah, my favorite movie as a kid, which I shouldn't have watched as a kid, and I really shouldn't watch now, it was Terminator 2. So,
Oh,
you know
that's now if you were to tell me what's the movie of the 90s,
yeah,
I would probably think top three. Terminator 2 probably in the mid top three. I
yeah,
put Jurassic Park and Pulp Fiction up there. Um, but definitely Terminator was every child watched that movie. I watched it.
yeah.
Yeah, but as a kid, it was like, uh, I mean, I don't know. Was it PG-13? I think it was PG-13.
There's no
Uh,
way. 'Cause, like, okay, so in Sri Lanka where I grew up, right, you're never gonna get this movie other than you get, like, this VHS that a guy who knows a guy who has the movie, who recorded into another VHS,
mhm.
um, and he gave it to he passed it down, and my dad happened to get it, and there was the first whole bunch of the movie was wiped out, and it started at the Sarah Connor, um interview with that psychologist guy. And she's just,
Yeah,
you know, cursing at
swearing.
the guy.
Yes, yes, yes. But I think there was like a lot of it was. I guess there was a TV version, of course, but uh, definitely the full version is definitely rated R.
Yeah.
But there was a, I mean, there should have been a cleaned out version which was PG.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
um, it was a great movie. You should be like that's a movie you should watch. I would say
Yeah.
quintessential '90s,
Yeah.
and it still holds up too. That's that movie. Like even watching it like recently, I saw it. I was like Arnold Schwarzenegger looks badass, and she even like even the acting was really good.
Yeah.
The villain and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And the child actor for John Connor was great.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was scary. It did give me nightmares when his foster parents were killed.
Oh, really?
Like like he was on the phone, and
Yeah.
then Arnold Schwarzenegger asks him what's his dog's name, and he says how's Benny. He changes the name, and
How's
oh, Benny's
Rex?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, how's
Yeah.
Rex? Yeah, and then he says, oh, your parents are dead. Oh,
Yeah.
your foster parents are dead. Oh, wow. Just like straight up. As a kid, that's kind of frightening.
Yeah. I my my dad used to let me watch any movie under the sun. I know this is a watch stream, but bear with us for a second. But so I think I was desensitized to a lot of it. Um, I think one of the first movies that really horrified me was The Evil Dead.
Oh
Um,
yes,
and
yes,
and my dad let me watch that. I don't know why, but I still remember vividly the pencil going into the ankle of this
yeah.
person and then getting twisted around. I was like, "Oh, man." And yeah, that movie was just, I think I watched it when I
The
was
chainsaw
5 or
hand.
6.
Yeah, yeah. That was kind of that was. I think it was Sam Raimi, if I remember, the
Yeah, yeah,
director. But it was a funny horror movie. Like if
yeah,
you look at watching now, it's like a funny, happy type of you know comedy type of this thing. But as a
yeah.
child watching it, it was like really, like the door
Yeah,
opens and all these. Yeah, it was kind of scary for me
yeah,
as a kid. Yeah,
yeah. So, I went when Terminator came, I was just like, "Yeah, whatever."
yeah. Whatever. Yes, I saw Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Bring it.
yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, let's get back on track here and,
sure. I
um
got one for you
okay, yeah, go ahead,
because I'm
shoot.
just looking at my watch here,
Yeah.
and a lot of people will not like something on this dial, which is the power reserve
Oh,
indicator on the dial. It
yeah,
kind of takes away from the symmetry of the dial. I completely understand that. I do like it on this dial because it has that. It has great finishing. The radial, the brushing, and it shows a little more of a pinkish hue on the power reserve indicator.
yeah,
I have, and it's actually so I like the practicality of it. I like seeing, oh, I have this many hours. I can just wind it, and I know, and I love it on the Longo one, which I don't have anymore. But like you can, it's very practical to know how many hours just at a glance of on the dial. I know the newer models now, like the recently have the on the back, and I believe your manual one, of course, does it have a power reserve indicator on
in
the
the
back?
back, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's nice, but I think at a single glance, the practicality of this is very, very, very useful.
Yeah. I actually have so I'll just jump on that because I was gonna say I really love asymmetry. on a dial. So, like the longest, the Glasuto originals, the Power Reserve, I love it when asymmetry is done right,
Yes.
and it does not mean anything to me if it breaks up the balance of the dial. That means nothing to me because yeah, I think that that German, uh, the smaller time counter, and then you might have a power reserve, you might have a moon phase like the Panamatic lunar. I
Yeah.
think that's really beautiful. The longer you used to have absolutely
But
beautiful.
and it's funny, like I don't know if you've ever seen like the videos or anything, but if you took a line and drew the line between the two big dates,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it would touch the power reserve indicator at the exact
Oh,
point, and then if you turn that perpendicular, that will touch the center of the watch. So it's like it's really proportionate symmetry
yeah,
in a
okay.
in a in a in a crazy way. So Alonga does it the best. I would say asymmetry to perfection.
Yeah, yeah, I did not know that. That's really
Yeah,
cool
just,
to
yeah,
hear.
just look at the videos and just try to just draw a line. If whenever you see a picture, just draw a line from the center and it'll touch that, and then it'll touch usually,
Yeah,
except the ones that overlap. Those are different, but most majority of them do.
yeah, yeah, very cool. um what's another asymmetrical dial? I can't really think of anything other than like the snowflake.
Yep.
um
Mhm.
Anything from Grand Seiko with a power reserve.
Some brigades I think have an asymmetric dial,
Yeah,
um, and also they're pretty well. Even though symmetric, it's well finished.
yeah,
You look at the finishing much more, so that's there. So
yeah.
uh,
Let's jump in here. uh Chaz saying don't lead in with that pencil and ankle story if you ever see a therapist. Yeah. Marcus talking about Alien from
yes.
1979 at age 7 in the 80s. Ooh.
Have you seen
Uh,
Aliens or Alien?
I should have.
Okay.
Yes, no, I have. I have. That's the one where the chest opens up and the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
thingy
yeah.
comes out. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have seen that. Oh, and the blood is acidic or whatever, and it just
Yes.
runs through the spaceship. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
I remember. I remember.
That was actually a good movie too. I liked Aliens better than Alien, that James Cameron one.
Yeah.
That was on TV a couple days ago too, and I was working from the hospital, came back and saw what's her name? I forgot her name in that movie. But
Ridley. No, Ripley. Sigourney
Rip,
Weaver.
Signora Weaver, I forgot her name. Ripley, I think she
Yeah.
comes out with the fight in the end. And it's just really, I like 80s and 90s action movies better than action movies nowadays.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because everything now is CGI and everything.
Yeah.
There was much more they had to do work it out.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Fog? I have not. I mean, is The Fog the one where they go into this grocery store and then they are stuck in the grocery store and they have these giant
Oh,
spiders
uh,
and all the animals are like super crazy. I don't know if that's The Fog.
it's called The Mist, right?
The Mist. I think that's the. I
And then
think
in
that.
the end, that the ending is kind of sad.
Yeah, because
Uh,
they get all like they're all saved and the guy
well,
shoots his kid,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Because the mist is coming and he's in this car,
yeah,
and then the next scene is the mist comes out and the army is already there to save everybody. It's
yeah.
sad.
And the crazy
Uh,
person was right all around all along or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's based on a Stephen King novel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so
Yeah. That I remember that haunting me for a while. Gold Standard Painting, good to see you. Hey,
mhm.
Dis is here. Hey, Dis, how's it going? Um, can't watch movies with evil clowns like it. Let's see. Leia saying always love power reserve indicators regardless of manual or automatic watches.
Mhm. I
Love
agree. I
the
think that's one of the most like out of all the things. I just realized that the power reserve indicator is probably the most useful for us.
yeah,
As people who put a
absolutely.
lot of multiple watches and put in the watch box, I think the power reserve indicator is probably one
Yeah,
high up there, along with date.
yeah. Especially if we have like a bigger collection. I know if it's just like the only watch you wear and you wear it, if you're a
Yes.
collector who wears a watch for like a week or 2 weeks in a row, I think it becomes redundant. But We kind of switch watches every day, every other day. So power reserve is super useful
Yeah,
for me at
yeah,
least.
I agree. Same
Yeah.
thing. Do you have a like for dates? I don't have that issue with the date has to be the same color as the dial. Do you have that date window?
Only I do
Okay.
have that issue. Only if it's done right. Like the Grand Seiko SBG A3231-229, those divers have the date and it's white on a black dial, but the date perfectly replaces the index. So the 9 index, so the date's at 3 o'clock and it perfectly replaces it one for one. It's beautifully done. When it's done like that, I think it's okay. But if it's a little in the middle or kind of its own thing going on, it would be nice if the
Okay.
the date was the same color as the dial for
Yeah,
me.
I'm not against it. It depends on like the Vacheron I have has a white window. Would have been better maybe, but I like seeing the date. It's so stark. I like the contrast of the blue and the white date. I can see the dates pretty clearly.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good point actually. Let's see. Roger Smith Series 2. Let's see. Pretty asymmetrical. Power reserve indicator. Kevin S. That's the fog. I think we're just catching up now. James, good to see you. I know. As soon as I said it, I felt bad, Kevin. You guys ruined the mist for 39 people.
I mean, it's been out for 14 years, I think. 14, 15 years, I think.
Still,
I think the time of sorry, spoiler.
sorry, guys. You're
Yeah.
gonna do a spoiler alert.
Should I say Luke, I am your father? Star Wars. Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, guys. But yeah, sorry. The chat jumped, and I'm not gonna try and scroll back. But I'm sorry if I missed anything. If you guys asked a question or something, if you can type it up again, would be good. But moving on to another guilty pleasure for me is uh, this actually is inspired by Amon's one of Amon's many rants. It's not having micro adjustment on the clasp. So I I kind of like it if if it means having a smaller clasp and having a clasp that fits nicely, adds to the comfort, gives it an integrated esque look. You don't have the giant bulging clasp here, right? Um, I really don't mind not having a micro adjust. I know some brands do it really well. I think Go does it really well, where you press the logo on the clasp and you can get a bit of extension. But if you can't do that and it's just cost prohibitive, I don't mind not having micro adjustment, provided you provide the manufacturer provides the half links and you're able to get a half decent fit on the watch. What do you
and
think?
provided that the clasp does not protrude, which
Yes,
which
yeah,
is the major. Like if you're like if you how do you say compromise? Sometimes you compromise the clasp for the micro adjust, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you're doing it well, you can save the clasp look by
yes,
removing it. And I completely agree with you. I think the micro adjust is not as big of an issue for me as well. But sometimes some brands don't do both. They put a
yeah,
protruding clasp out. I think sometimes there's a little protrusion here too. I don't know if you can see it here, but
yeah. See,
not
that's the
not.
thing with the white birch. They fixed it. There's
I
no
know.
longer a protrusion. So
Yes,
it's
exactly. I'm like, wow, yours is mine is still the same and doesn't have that anything. So,
yeah,
um, but I think if you're doing the microdress, no microdress, the class has to be well well aligned with the
yeah,
rest of the bracelet.
yeah.
Completely agree. And especially I mean, your watch is not technically um a diver, right? The white
No.
birch.
Mhm.
So you don't necessarily have to have it. Like I think all diver watches need to have some adjustment because of if you're actually going to diving, you need to have some adjustment. But I think like white birch or other sports watches don't need necessarily have to have a micro adjust.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. one like the Speedmaster. I think I wanted to bring up the Speedmaster here. The
Hmm.
Speedmaster has a micro adjust. The 3861 has a micro adjust with that really cool bracelet. But when you activate that micro adjust or you use it, you have this unsightly thing going on with the bracelet. So there's like a T-shaped link at the end, and the T-shaped link goes into the clasp. Because when you're not using the micro adjust option, it's like a seamless transition from the bracelet to the clasp. There's no jump like most manufacturers. They'll put a clasp and it'll be on top of the bracelet. So if it tapers from 20 millimeters to 18, it'll jump back up to 20, and then you know you'd have to deal with that extra mass. So the Speedmaster did that really well, except they gave you a micro adjustment that you really should only use if it's an emergency or something going
Yes,
on.
it's like you're in a rocket ship and you got to use it. Yes,
Yeah,
otherwise don't use it. I completely agree. I don't
yeah,
think the micro adjust or the bracelet is really well tapered, much better than previous generations of the bracelets.
yeah.
But I really don't think the micro adjustment system of the Omega in general. How's your Planet Ocean one? I don't know. Maybe that might be better.
It's nice. So it does do the whole tapering down from 19 to 18, and then it jumps up again because the clasp is on top of the bracelet. Um, but the micro adjustment is very small. So because it's the smaller Planet Ocean, I think if you get the bigger Planet Ocean, you get a huge adjustment range. But the 39.5 only has a really tiny micro adjustment section. It's done really well. Like you have the press in and you slide it out, but you only have a few millimeters of adjustment, which is kind of necessary because they don't give you half links,
Sure.
so you have to use it. Um, so it's not ideal, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Nefarian thumbs down. Spoiler alert. Caliber YQG. What? Someone is Luke's father? Oh man, I'm not gonna bother watching it now. And yep, we got to do spoiler alerts from now on.
Saturday night spoilers.
Yeah. uh, IWC. Yes, Justin says IWC does micro adjustments the best. They do. They
Yes.
even do like
Yeah.
bracelet sizing the best. Removing the bracelet from the case.
And I feel like 90s IWC bracelets are just amazing. Like they
Yeah.
were the best of the decade. Amazing 90s
Yeah.
bracelets. I completely. Uh, it's still, it's feeling in 2021, we should probably have perfected that, right? Micro adjustments. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like watch movements and all that take very slow time to develop. But I think bracelets we could have done but much better job across
Yeah.
the board.
It's more like the manufacturers are kind of sitting on their laurels, right? They're not
Well,
innovating
I
except
think the good
for
thing is the Rolex. I think in the 90s, the Omega's bracelets were better than the Rolex bracelets, and
Mhm.
then Rolex just said, you know what, we're gonna up our game,
Yeah.
and they really upped their game. I think everybody now is trying to, unless somebody does it. I think in the 90s it was IWC and Omega, and
Yeah.
now Rolex just went up and above, almost perfecting it. And I think everybody else is trying to catch them. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
in the mid luxury sphere, I guess. AP's
Yeah.
always been there.
Even in the higher luxury, I mean, it's hard to beat a Rolex bracelet.
Yes, I agree.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
in daily wearability. Yes,
Yeah. Um, kind of. I was thinking of like a Apple and an Intel kind of thing with their chipsets. Well,
yes,
when the M1 chipset came out with
yeah.
Apple Silicon, it just went. Everything else is like inferior now, like years behind. So
like like hyperspeed. Yeah.
yeah.
I,
Um,
I don't know if you had the M chip, but the M chip is just. I'm actually using one of the laptops using the M chip.
yeah. I
And
have the iPad Pro with the M1.
yeah, it's just
It's insane.
there's a like crash, no crash,
No,
no nothing.
no. Like, why buy any other laptop? I mean, I'm not a Mac guy.
I'm not
I'm
either.
strictly a Windows guy, but you can't even buy a Windows machine now when you have the M1
Chip,
MacBook
yeah,
Air.
yeah.
Like the MacBook Air blows every PC. has an Intel chip or an
Okay,
AMD chip.
they have to do 5 years of R&D now, like just to catch
Yeah,
up with M1. By the time God knows what Apple is releasing.
yeah,
Uh,
crazy. Man, we're really bouncing around.
well, it's a fun, it's a fun. I like the chats going different places here.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Good to see you, Jason. Design Atelier.
Oh, here's another one from. Have you watched Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That was probably Wilson was asking that question up on the chat.
Oh
That's
yeah.
it. That's it. Yeah.
Um, best quick adjust was on Sanjay's Real Master. That's funny. I feel like the same Rail Master quick adjust is on the Planet Ocean. So I
Okay.
have part of the Rail Master's soul still with me.
The fingerprint of the Rail Masters on that
Yes.
Omega
There you go.
Planet Ocean.
IWC, Glisted Original, and Alang and Zona use the same system. Yeah. They're all Richemont, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Cartier too. So a lot of people in the chat is using the quick adjustment system. Cartier, and I forgot. There's another one that they forgot to mention in the chat is Vacheron. So the
Right. Yeah.
overseas has a triple this thing. So Cartier, Vacheron, I believe all the Richemont brands are going to use the same system in the next 5 years. I'm thinking
Yeah.
because the problem is you can't use any aftermarket strap.
Yeah.
It's all within the Richemont family. If you want to buy a Cartier strap, you got to go to Cartier and get another strap because it's a particular system too.
Yeah.
And even some independents like Chapek. I don't know if you've seen the Antarctique.
I have not.
Um,
I mean, I have seen the Antarctic, but I have not really investigated.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
you have to use a particular mechanism to open it, and it comes with a rubber strap. So I think a lot of places, I think that might be something that might be a trend in the future.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Oh
Marcus
yes,
has.
you said Geo. Geo is Swatch actually. I didn't hear. I heard Longa and Longa, Vacheron, Cartier. All these IWC are all Panerai are all Richemont. Geo is actually Swatch.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, I should have known that. Um, Marcus has a Speedmaster 57 and a Railmaster 57. Marcus, do you have the Seamaster 57 too? Because you'd be the coolest guy in the chat right now. Speedmaster 57 has push button micro adjustment on the clasp. Never needed it. That's interesting. Cartier has cool bracelets as Nefarian. Where else can you get such diverse chat on watches and movies? Don't forget to hit. Oh, thanks, Bill. It's very kind of you.
Yes.
Um,
Movie experts Bobby and Sanjay talking
yeah,
about watches.
yeah,
Talking about 90s movies, not even like 2021 movies, just 1990.
yeah. Design Atelier still has an old
Yes.
MacBook Air. Still shooting my videos on an iPhone 8.
I
8
never I had a 2010 MacBook and I just recently bought it this year, the MacBook Air with M
Yeah,
chip. And just because my other one still works, the MacBook 2011, and it's just so much faster. That's the reason
yeah.
why I got it.
Can you be in, like, imagine being in the shoes of the guys who bought the MacBook Pro and MacBook Air like last year?
That
Um,
without the M chip.
yeah,
Oh wow. I feel
yeah,
sorry for that because I was waiting and I also got the iMac with the M chip
yeah,
and they sold the previous model like 3 months ago, like
yeah,
prior, and it was more expensive
yeah,
and slower. It's like,
yeah.
oh wow,
Uh, yeah. You don't get that kind of jump in performance
yeah,
every day or every decade. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, design Artilia Jason. There's no shame in recording on a phone. Everything I do is on a phone as well. Not that I'm great at it. Your videos are way better, guys. If you haven't seen Design Artelia's videos, they are
yeah.
insane.
Very
Uh,
very well done videos.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you use an iPhone 12?
I
Then
use a
11
yeah iPhone 12 for
recording.
most of my videos because
Okay.
the iPhone 12 I think is the best at video recording. Um, I used to have the S20 Ultra for pictures, but that one started malfunctioning, so I am S20 less, S20 Ultra less, which is sad. Um, but yeah, iPhone takes great pictures too. Um, okay, I think we can hit one more. Do you want to go or shall I go?
I no, my other thing was also another thing that people probably hate is titanium. Same watch
Yeah,
here. I like
yeah,
titanium. I really like wearing. I know like people like the heft of their watches in steel and everything.
yeah,
But give me if you told me there's a titanium watch and a steel watch, I probably prefer this titanium. I actually don't like. I just feel like it just wants to be a part of my wrist. You know, not feeling that there's a watch on my wrist. I'm okay with that. It's just so much more flawless movement wise. I like titanium. It's even though it might scratch a little bit, it's so light. It just feels comfortable,
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's a
and that's just
great
a
point.
thing. But
And and titanium has a little bit of that jingly jingliness,
yes,
um, which is so comfortable. It's yeah, it's so nice, man. uh, it's
yes,
just
the first
the
point you
density.
mentioned, the jingly jangliness. Yes, it
Yeah,
does have that.
yeah. It's just the lack of density, so it just moves around way easier. Um, yeah, it's just really nice. A really nice feeling.
Good material. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the. I guess yeah. I love and I know that people love steel, but I think people should venture out to other materials, ceramic,
Hmm.
IWC, titanium, titanium, even precious metals. If you're into precious metals, I think steel. There should be. I mean, everybody's boxed into they have to get a stainless steel watch, and I think
Yeah.
people should just veer off of that. Ceramic is so much easier to wear, and you can wear thicker watches with ceramic because it's so light.
Yeah.
IWC makes thick watches, but they're titanium or ceratanium or ceramic, and it's
Yeah.
so light, so it's easier. So I think people should be more adventurous, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And it doesn't have to cost a ton to get into ceramic because Rado does a lot of ceramic stuff.
Hmm.
And Rado's True Square, I think, is something that I really wanted to try for a while. The fact that you can't scratch it, it's very unlikely that you're gonna scratch it. It's not that likely that you're gonna shatter it. You know, I mean, you're gonna have bigger problems if you shatter something like that
Yeah,
while it's on your wrist, unless if you drop it. But even then, it should be fine. You're gonna have bigger problems. The movement's gonna be probably busted at that point too. Yeah, just don't drop your watch, and don't shatter it on your wrist. Um, not gonna have a good day after that.
same
Um,
thing with for titanium too. You can get affordable titanium watches.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
bolder.
even yeah, older. Yep, and so it's something people should try, especially people like on the chat here who have multiple watches, who haven't tried,
Yeah,
who only use steel. I think titanium should be something that they should experience at least once in their life.
yeah. Um, Jason had a really interesting question here. Have you ever fallen out of love with a Grail watch before you got to buy it? And he mentioned it happened to him with the S&P 300. I tried it on so much until I didn't like it anymore.
Ooh.
Hmm. I I think so.
Hmm.
That has to have happened to me.
Like
Um,
you really want to buy, you went to the place or wherever and you saw the watch and said, "This is not for me."
yeah.
I
Well,
think
I
that's the
think that
question, right?
with Jason, I think it's more like you still wanted it, but by the time you were able to afford it or purchase it, you didn't
Okay,
like it anymore, you know?
because you fell in love with something else.
Yeah, did that
Probably.
happen, Jason? Is that what happened?
I,
Because yeah,
He
I
said
feel
it's because he said it happened to me with the SMP 300. I tried it on so much until I didn't like it anymore.
yeah.
Um,
I can't think of an example for me, but I feel like it has happened to me.
okay,
Um, I mean, it kinda happened with the white birch. Like, when the white birch was first announced, I was like, "Okay, this is it. I'm gonna sell my, Iwate, GMT." It's a SBTJ201. I was gonna sell it. I had a plan, and then I had that thing with the Railmaster, and on that day the white birch was really offensive to me, and because I could have got the white birch that day,
Mm.
instead of the Speedmaster, and I did not like it that day, and there was like this up and down, and I was slowly climbing back up, and finally, the white birch is now on my wrist, and I couldn't be happier. But in that intermediate stage, it did happen. Like I didn't want the white birch anymore.
I think I got two watches that I consider grails that I had to get rid of because I didn't fall in love with it after that. One was like it was a Langa. I
Yeah,
really wanted a Langa. It looks great in pictures and everything. It was just a wearing. I loved wearing it, but it's just that the legibility kind of irked me. And that was another video you made, things that irk us,
yeah.
and that kind of irked me to the point at which I had to let it go. The other one was the Royal Oak Offshore. It
Okay,
looks great in pictures, but then when you actually wear it, it's talking when you're talking about chunky watches. That's
that was
something
your
that.
safari story, right?
Mhm,
When you were gonna
yeah,
get the safari. Yeah,
exactly. I had to give it back. So the person who sold it was pretty good about
yeah,
it. So yeah, things that you feel like you really want, and I was saving up for it. It's not like I was like I was saving up for these watches, and then
yeah.
unfortunately.
Um, Andrew Tubing Watch Collector says my first luxury watch was going to be the new Aquaterra, but went with the Explorer instead.
And that's the other thing, right? Like that's the other issue is like falling in love with something else. That's
Yeah,
a different story. I guess that's you're looking at one thing and then you go into and then you divert your attention somewhere else.
yeah.
Um,
Jason says that wasn't it. He said, I guess maybe I saw other options, but nothing specific to replace it. I currently don't have a Grail on the list. I guess,
do you have
that's
a Grail right now, Sachin? Sanjay?
yeah. Um, I mean, for me, a Grail is really loose. I use that term really loosely
Sure.
because I tend not to just, yearn or crave a watch. But um, if it were to be one, I would say the Moser Green Dragon.
Mhm.
Um, and they're both green dials in the SBGW 264, which coincidentally Wolfgang was talking about. But
Is that the
yeah,
one that you showed that's the forced the
yeah,
yeah, that's a
with
beautiful
the
watch.
beautiful
Gold.
like a hatch grain pattern on the dial,
Does
not
it have
not
a gold something yellow?
rose gold. Yeah,
Rose gold, yeah. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
it is. Um, so those are two watches, two green dial watches, funnily enough, that are grails right now. But yeah, taste change. So
Yeah.
maybe Jason, your taste changed. I mean, yeah, he's Jason, you're far wiser, far more knowledgeable than I. And yeah, it feels weird for me to say, "Hey, Jason, your taste changed." But
But it's nice not to have a Grail on the list either. I think
yeah,
he said he currently doesn't have it. That's a good thing. It's
yeah,
nice to be refreshing and just step away from all this and not be bombarded by social media and Instagram and all videos and not have something like a Grail. It's just
yeah,
nice to be indifferent for a change, I guess.
yeah.
Um,
You were kind of there when you had the longer, right?
yes, yes, I did.
Yeah.
And that video about irking, that's when the, you know, I still I'll get to that when get this other watch. I have a watch coming in,
Oh, nice.
and it'll be something, hopefully. But and then I'll probably show it to you, send you first, and then maybe on the stream. But uh, it's it's the hunt that we always get driven by, and the adrenaline kicks in and all that stuff. It's not the watch itself a lot of times.
Yeah. So true. Um, except yeah, I've never. I guess I'm really impulsive, and I always have to go and see the watch before I purchase it.
Oh
So I
wow!
never.
You
Yeah,
have to touch the watch, like you see the watch. Okay,
I have to handle it. Um, so because of that,
it's
I've never had the hunt thing because I can't just go online and
sure.
really take. I mean, I do kind of hunt because I go to my AD's website and then I look at hey, what new pieces came in, and there's that hunt. So I guess that does kind of fuel the.
But you that's a very good. Uh, in an ideal situation, that's the best scenario, right?
Yeah.
Touching the watch and feeling it. I think in the scenario with COVID and all this stuff, and online, I think a lot of times people try to avoid it. I think buying a car and buying materialistic items, you have to see the touch the car or touch the
Yeah.
watch and see, ideally speaking, because a lot of times you will not find that, like, a watch that actually I thought was I really liked, that I felt that was hard, was a Zeitwerk, the Longa
Okay.
Zeitwerk.
Yeah.
It's a very thick watch. It looks really beautiful, but when you wear it, it's like, oh, this, it feels kind of
Huh. Yeah.
thick. So you would never have thought that, but it's sometimes you get surprised by wearing a watch that you feel so much respect for.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you have that opportunity to always touch the watch and see the watch, because that's the best. That's the ideal such scenario.
Yeah. That's interesting because I I I w- I didn't envision the Zeitwerk to be thick. I mean, I've never looked at the specs or anything, but
Hmm.
um, I know it's huge. It's like 42 or
Yeah,
something, right? It's all
it's
dial.
thicker than the other longas. I guess that's another
Oh, I
thing.
see.
Like
Yeah.
when you consider the longa, like they'll show the longa one, they'll show the data graph, they'll
Yeah.
show the Zeitwerk is definitely thicker comparatively to the other longa models too. So
Yeah.
maybe I may just be relative biased at that point in time.
Yeah. Well,
Just because,
maybe it's slab-sided and you get like that full punch of the thickness, you know.
yes.
I haven't seen I
And
haven't seen the
longa
side profile.
does have long lugs too, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of tells you, it makes you feel, the some of the, like, Nomos also has the same thing, right? These German watches have these long lugs
Yeah.
that doesn't usually fit a smaller wrist, I guess.
Yeah.
It might fit a German wrist better, but not us smaller wrist people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's a good spot to end it for the night. Bobby, thanks so much for joining. I know if it was just me, this would have been way more boring. So you're always a pleasure to chat with, and I'm so grateful that you came on.
No, it's always a
Uh,
pleasure is mine here, because it was great talking watches and movies and
yeah,
Apple
yeah,
products. I think it was a
yeah. Hey, how
multi
about
field
that?
discussion.
How about that Galaxy Fold, eh? That thing,
Exactly.
that thing is cool.
Talking about 2011 MacBooks and
Yeah.
1990 movies. That's our genre here.
Yep.
This chat.
Yep. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and everyone in the chat as well. Thanks so much for joining. You guys also make this stream. So, um, highlight of the week, and it's great to have you all. But other than that, guys, I think so. Tomorrow we have Watch Soup. We're going to be chatting about Federico, talking about some shady business practices from when he used to be a salesman or director of sales, so to speak. I thought that was really interesting. Hodinki did a video on talking watches with a really endearing fellow.
Comedian, right?
Sorry.
Comedian.
Yes, yes, yes. I really like him.
Yes.
Because I mean, you could tell they talked about something that hurt him, like the passing of his father, but he joked about it. And but you could kind of tell in his eyes. Maybe I'm reading into it, but you could tell in
No,
his
no.
eyes,
I mean,
that
I don't know if you've. I mean, I love listening to good comedians. He's one of them, but
yeah,
like Dave Chappelle and everything, and a lot of the comedians say that all their great humor comes from great pain.
yeah,
And I think that's, they make light, great content out of the pain that they suffer through.
yeah,
And a lot of them are tortured, like Robin Williams, unfortunately passed away.
yeah,
Torture souls, so to speak. But that was a great talking watches, and especially his collection was so varied too, right? The
yeah.
Seiko, the Speedmaster. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil any of those,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah,
a
no,
great
we'll talk
talking
about that
watches.
tomorrow too. Um, and there was one more video. I can't quite remember it, but well, there the link should be up. I did a funny thumbnail. Let me know what you guys think about that thumbnail. I'm trying to be like channel the Bobby here, the Robbie legs. Um, but anyway, guys, sorry to drone on for so long, but take care, everyone. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye.